Hi all, Cynthia here from NB Pretty Papers, jumping on to do a quick live part before I get into the art journal page itself, just to show you my new book that I'm going to be art journaling in. So this is totally 100% inspired by Marta from Marama's Small Art. I'm hoping I'm saying that correctly. I love how she has her wine book, and I was looking around for a book, something similar, and I went to garage sale yesterday and found this book. It wasn't 100% what I was looking for, but I could not pass it up. It is chock full of art already, and my idea is to take this book and I will be art journaling over top of it, but where I like some of the background, I might incorporate some of it into the actual my design. There's some pages that I really like some of the artwork on it, and there's other pages where I think it's just hideous, and I cannot understand how people would think it's even art or interesting. But you know, as they say, art is all in the eye of the beholder. So I'm going to go through this and, as I say, utilise the pages. The reason it wasn't 100% what I was looking for, I was hoping for something that sat a little bit flatter. I don't know how this pen's going to go and how I'm going to deal with that, but we'll see. I might do a couple of pages and decide that, yeah, it's really not what I wanted, or it might work out just perfect. We'll see how we go. Look, it only cost me $2 anyway at a garage sale, so I thought it was worth my money to give it a go. So that is the plan. I will flip through, and depending on what page I'm going to use and what design I'm going to be working on, I will either find a page that I think is going to work with what I'm going to create, or just flip to a page and use the colours and all as inspiration. We'll see. Anyway, that's what this book is about. Stay tuned, and I will now flip over to my first art journal. Here we go, going to open it up and flip through to find the page that I want to work on today. Just going to look for, I don't know, colours that will inspire me, a design that will inspire me, something that I think will work with today's page. And I've flipped through and come up with this page here, basically because it has the blue and that little bit of yellow in it, and also on the left hand page it's sort of got like scribbly doodly bits, which I'm hoping to leave a little bit of that showing in the background. I'm working on this page as a part of the Take 5 Art design team call, team call, whatever they want to call it. So if you haven't heard of the Take 5 Art Challenge, it's a monthly challenge where 12 ladies all get on each month. You have 5 prompts, and you've got to create a page using those prompts. It's been going for quite some time now, and if you followed along with me, you'll know that I have participated in this a few times as well. Just followed along and followed the prompts as well. But they're actually putting out a call to be a official member, if that's what you would call it. So I'm quite excited about that. So what am I doing here? I've grabbed the tissue. This month's 5 prompts were tissue, border, doodles, flowers, and oh, I just had it in my mind. Let me think. Tissues, a border, doodles, flowers, and totally gone. Zip, gone out of my mind. I'm going to have to go and have a look to see what it is. Hang on. Why this is playing away. You continue watching while I go on the hunt. I just typed it out. I just did the, what will you call it? Oh, washi. That's what it was, washi. I just did the YouTube thumbnail where I typed in what the 5 prompts was. And that was only, a minute before I started doing this voiceover, and already what the 5 prompts was has just vanished out of my head. Anyway, so back into it. What did I do while I was trying to remember what the 5 prompts was? I've put down the tissue. For the tissue, I'm going to use a serviette. So I've tore off this little bird here and have stuck that down using some matte gel medium. And then I've grabbed out a couple of different paints. I've pulled out 2 different blue paints and now this lime green paint, and I've put that down. And before that dries, I'm just taking this stencil and going to wipe away some of the paint, give it some texture in the background, and then I'll come in and dry it. All the drying I did dry pretty much between all the layers, and I have cut that out so you won't see that happening. You might see a little bit here and there, but very little of it. Now I'm going to grab this other piece of tissue or napkin and put the same bird, just on the other side of the page. So I'm going to have them looking at each other. Stuck that down with the same, and now I'm getting out the paint again and just going to blend that in. You'll see I put a lot of layers on, trying to stick with the 3 main colours of blue, yellows, and I'd bring a lot of white in as it gets further down the page as well. So not trying to make it too bright and colourful, which is very much a stretch for me. You know that I like to have lots of colour. So I've grabbed out this stencil here from my stash. I bring out a few stencils here in this layout, and I'm just going to stencil some of the acrylic paint through it. So these stencils here are just cheap stencils from our local reject shop. I guess from what I can gather, if you're in America, maybe it's the same as a dollar store or something like that. But I find them absolutely fantastic stencils. They've actually got a little bit of a sticky background to it. So when you put them on the page, it actually sticks to the page, so not much seeps in underneath. So I've stuck that down, and there's a plastic cover, a clear plastic cover on the back of that stencil. That's why it wants to flip over on me, because I'm not peeling the whole thing off. Used it through the stencil as much as I wanted to. Now I've just sprayed the acrylic paint with a little bit of water, and I'm going to dab that onto the page as well. So it's sort of like the negative or the reverse side of it. I'm going to use up the last little bit of that paint there to help blend it all in as well. Coming in now to add my border, I'm thinking about using one of these stencils to add my border, and I've just settled on that one. I initially put it down. The paint isn't dry, and as a result, even though I'm using modelling paste, it does end up taking up the colour of the paint. So you'll see how I overcome that later in the video, because I do want to keep it that sort of the white colour if I can, just to be able to give some lightness and brightness, and trying to get a lacy feel to the page. I don't know if lacy's a word, but that's what I'm calling it. So I have that modelling paste down, and now I'm going to come back in with my gold pen here and just do some doodles in the background. On the tissue or the serviette was a sort of a gold squirrely scribble, so I've just copied that through into a number of different places and carrying it on. It's at this point that the bird on this side, there's a black bit in the background which was already on the page, and that's sort of distracting and taking away from the bird a little bit. So I've decided to grab the other half of the serviette, because there was this bird on four corners, I guess you would call it, and I'm just going to put it over top. I also did that because I felt like the page was getting a little bit too blue and too green, and I want to bring a little bit of the white back in. So I've stuck the tissue paper down on both sides, which will help bring that white back in. Just bringing that blue back in here though to help the two images connect and the two pages to connect. And this is where I'm going to bring the white acrylic back in just to brighten it up a little bit again. And I'm trying to make the border and my flower stand out a little bit by just rubbing a little bit of acrylic over the top of it. But I'll come back in with another idea soon. So with my two florals that I have in the corners, I grab my Posca paint pen and I'm just going to go over the top of the texture paste. I don't try to draw it perfectly, just roughly to be able to get the idea that that image, that floral image, is there in the corner. And then you'll see that I start off doing the same with the border. But because the border is lots of tiny little dots and dashes basically that make up the pattern, it wasn't working very well. It was going to take me forever and a day to be able to cover all the dots. So I decided to grab the stencil. Sorry about that, that's my phone. Decided to grab the stencil that I used initially, lay it back over top of where the paste was, just line it back up, and the texture paste is sticking back up through the stencil, and I'm just going to use my paint pen again to colour it in. It doesn't line up perfectly, but it lines up good enough, and I'm happy with the way it's come together. So I really liked the way it come together. That crease in the middle has not bothered me at all. I'll see how they stick together over a period of time. Here's this little whimsical word that I've decided I'll use as my title. And then I'm all done. So make sure you check out all the links and details for this challenge, the Take 5 challenge. I'll leave a couple of links below to some of the ladies. Cara Pace, I think is the initial person. I could get that wrong, so don't quote me on that. But I'll leave a link to at least hers below, because then she will be able to have all the links to everyone else as well. Close-up photos, as always, thank you very much. Give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, and until next time, everyone have a lovely day, a lovely week, or a lovely month, and I'll talk to you on the next video.